Hey guys, as usual in this channel, after finishing the game, let's give it a review. It is the turn of Monster Mania. For that, I'll be checking its story, gameplay, graphics and music. So the question is, was it worth playing this game? What I can say in terms of story, at first, we have an adventurer that got lost, and once in the point of starvation, the greatest idea came, and that was eating a weird looking fly. Great idea that ended up in a little accident. And after casually dying, the main character wishes to have some other companions, which miraculously happened, and that is pretty much how this story began. In all honesty, this game doesn't have that much in terms of story. As you traverse these dungeons, and after beating each boss, there is a small fragment of what the MC is looking as they move from one place to another. If you play the story just for what it is shown in this way, most likely you are going to miss a good chunk of things. Rather than a story, what you need to read is the lore to understand what is the main idea of this game. Here I found that out because I got to see a weapon named after maybe my main character. Sometimes in games they add special weapons in weird ways. Here I thought it was something similar as Labyrinth of Galeria, but nope, this one was a named weapon after a witch, so that is how I got to see a bigger story than what it is actually presented. And of course, once the credits start rolling, you catch why some images never really appeared in the story. However, I gotta say that the story feels a bit hollow because of how it is presented, so to me at best I can say it is as is. In terms of gameplay, it is a really weird game, because we combine survival elements, roguelike and RPG ones. When I started playing this game, in all honesty, I was questioning myself really hard. What the heck am I playing? And the thing here is that I sometimes get the games out of pure silliness, and this one was one of those games. The first 5-8 hours I didn't really like it, because I felt I was running in circles. I mean, this game is hard, even in normal difficulty, because if RNG is not on your side, you're screwed. If you start to run out of food for XYZ reason, you are screwed. If you get a couple of messed up floors, you are screwed. So what it is all about? You create your characters out of different classes and you start traversing different floors that are randomly generated. So you can get a lot of different things, as well as different monsters. The higher the difficulty, the easier it is to find the special spawns and stuff like that. Each time you get back to your base, you have to eat and drink, so your characters are happy. If they are happy, they are not going to have penalties in their stats. So a good chunk of the game comes down to have a strategy with your meals. Here, a word of advice: first eat the nastiest things at hand. There is a good chunk of meals that have great stats, but they reduce your character's happiness, so you have to feel the happiness with some other things. Here is also where you are going to disassemble and repair some items. At first, I would recommend you to fix these things as soon as possible, because once you have unlocked them, you can keep using them, even if you are thrown back to the beginning, which is bound to happen at least a couple of times while you get the hang of this game, as there are many things that are not explained. I mean, there's a section of help where they explain everything, so give it a read to the things that catch your attention, otherwise you're going to run blindly. What I can say about these dungeons is that they change a lot from run to run, so there's no way to predict what is going to happen. So it is best to adapt as you go, and always try to find these skulls in each room, because they have the different recipes for items, food, and how to repair important items. The hardest thing at first is getting decent equipment, because without it, it becomes really hard to beat some enemies down the line. And the bosses, oh my god, they are going to beat the shit out of you at least several times. So the best thing you can do is get luck with these items. A particular egg, cook it with this and make the enemies eat those special eggs. So that way they turn into mimics, which oftentimes reward you with extraordinary items that you may get 30-40 floors from where you are. So try to experiment with everything you have at hand. Rocks, different kind of food, items, and well, cook the heck out of everything to summarize this. And for the love of the Lord, don't throw away your rotten things. Every time you get with a boss, turn them miserable by making them eat those things. This also helps if you are hunting monsters at night. get them from behind, as it is way safer, and then use rotten things to debuff them and start beating the heck out of them. It is always worth checking if you can beat the overpowered monsters, as you can also increase like 5-10 levels in one go. I could go on and on with all the little gimmicky things this game is going to throw at you, but that alone will take a lot of time. What is worth mentioning is that once I got the hang of it, I was moving through floors without that much issue, and that is when I started having fun, because at first the experience was tedious, and here, every 10 floors there is no such thing as being overprepared. In the second part of the game, from 50-100th floor, you are going to be tested real hard. That is where you will have to manage really well your meals and characters, as there are places that drain your calories and water. And for the bosses, if you think they were hard in the first half of the game, you haven't seen anything. To me the gameplay was good. After having a first bad impression, I'll say it is an 8. For the graphics, once again we commit the classic sins in RPGs, where we reuse enemies to no end. At first it may look like there are a lot of enemies, but they just repainted them and that's pretty much about it. The same thing happens with other classes like unique and elite monsters. Nonetheless, the general art of the game is decent. The game closed once in the last boss. Lucky for me, it was before even attacking, so there was no harm. What I like the most is that the collector's edition artbook has many silly notes about items and how the different characters were designed, but it is in those little dumb details that I was grinding. So yep, be prepared to see a lot of silly things in this game. Regarding dungeons, the ones I liked the most were in the second half of the game. There are some places that change a lot from day to night, and some enemies camouflage themselves. I found those details actually great. To me, it is a 6.5. And for the music, we have a kind of sad thing here, because on its own, the OST is great. I really liked it, pretty much beginning to end. My only complaint regarding the disc is that one of them has just a small intro every time you get into the dungeon. I mean, it is like 5% out of all the time as it is able to storage. But the combat tracks, oh my god, I love them. But then why did I say that it was something sad? Because the dungeons have no music. In general, the game is going to feel hollow and silent because of that. And once you get the hang of the fights, the combat tracks don't get real far. Just when you are fighting bosses is where you'll have those amazing tracks playing since the beginning. Other than that, it is silent as heck. Here there are different things in which this could have been managed. Taking an idea from Fire Emblem, for example, would have been to have a couple of tracks where there is something like calm and combat version. So even if you enter in multiple combats real fast, there is going to be a synergy because of the track's composition. And if that is too much to handle, then just add a normal dungeon track, otherwise the experience is greatly diminished. In all honesty, when I was playing this game, I was listening to other games' OST as background music. At best, I can say it is another 6. Monster Mania final score is a 6.6. It is what I will say in each game. It has great ideas, but the way it was executed is not the best in all honesty. If I were to recommend this game, it would be for its gameplay. It is something you don't see every day. But keep in mind what I say about feeling a bit hollow. If you can get the OST, yeah, that's worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.